happens to an eyeball when it gets punctured? You got any idea how much blood jets out of a guy's neck?
You've come back to us, Michael. Seekers, stop the rage.
Warn me?
We were attacked by a werewolf.
I'm not listening to this.
On the moors, we were attacked by a lycanthrope, a werewolf. I was murdered, an unnatural death, and now I walk the earth in limbo until the werewolf's curse is lifted.
Shut up.
The wolf's bloodline must be severed.
Get me back my head!
Don't be afraid.
No. Be afraid. Be very afraid.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Retro Blood as we continue our look at 1980s werewolf movies. Up next, if you like cops in New York, like that show that plays before Raw, CSI New York. If you like ancient wolves, Native American tribe wolves that's been here for thousands of years who can only see a negative. And if you like our boy, a cop named Dewey, eating a bunch of donuts and having sex with his partner randomly, this is the review for you, brother, because the Retro Blood is talking all about Wolfen. J. Alison, James Kline. What's happening, Alison? How is your eyes today? Are you seeing negative everywhere right now?
Yeah, man, I'm seeing like the straight thermo whatever that the wolves seeing.
Yeah.
That was a cool effect though. And one of the first times it was used in a movie, by the way.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, boy, so okay, so I got a little story. So, I've made some movies and stuff on my own, and some like
you have, yeah.
Yes, some of my, you can find one on the YouTube channel, by the way. It's really quick, about like 10 minutes. Check it out, everybody. It's about wolves too. So the filter, I've actually used this filter before, and it actually is a pretty cool filter. Like for like if we have any editors out there, it's a pretty cool filter because like once you use it, you don't want to like stop using it because of the effect it does. It's just so neat. Even though it does make stuff look a little like, I wouldn't say cheap, it just makes it look like, I don't know, just a little bit weird. And man, boy, I just imagine that whoever the editor was in this film found this like color panel, like how to do the negative color panel. I was like, bro, I got to put this in every scene, man. Every scene with this wolf, you're getting this negative, brother. So it's a cool effect, though, but it's weird.
But it wasn't a filter when they did it, though. They used optical compositing, I think.
Yeah.
Is what they called it. But it was the same thing they used for the Predator later on.
Yes. I mean, it's a nice effect, and it does its job. It's just funny to, like, I used to get, like, I wouldn't say shit on, but I was getting, like, a little shit on from using it in some of my stuff. Like, it looks cheap and stuff. I was like, I think it looks cool.
It looks cool. It looks cool. I mean, like, I think that a lot of people this is the same problem I have about movies in general now and people who like horror movies. It's everything that's cool, everything that was cool, people think is cheap now and corny and cheesy and cringy or whatever the 20-year-olds are saying. But it's like, I would rather watch this than like The Conjuring or Annabelle or any of that bullshit.
Yeah.
Like with your cheap. I mean, talk about cheap. I mean, CGI effects are fucking cheap.
I know.
Mean, that's the height of cheap right there. I mean, the cheapest movies, the on-screen movies ever made are being made right now. Not what they cost, but what I'm saying is like the way they look, how cheap they look, or they're the cheapest movies are being made right now, not in the 1980s. But
yeah,
that's a rant for a different time that I'm sure I'll make again.
Yeah, well, we've had the new age rant here and there on the Retro Blood, but there are some good ones out there. But that's like I said, another
True.
time. So we're all about the ancient Wolfen race on this episode of the Retro Blood, brother. Yeah, this is a interesting one. This movie kind of reminded me of it was like a mixture between so what am I trying to say here? It's kind of like an X-Files episode, but like not as like longer, like a longer X-Files episode in a way, with the the two main characters not being as cool as Mulder and Scully.
So, I think they're cooler than Mulder and Scully.
Hell no. Dewey and the fucking Rebecca girl? Hell, this fat Dewey guy?
I love Dewey, man. Like, Dewey's like, I could totally relate to Dewey. I am basically Dewey.
Well, you just wake up, eat donuts, and stare at your cop partner and randomly have sex with her for no reason?
For the most part, yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
But yeah, I don't know. Like, I think that the reason that I picked this was because I feel like it's a kind of a forgotten movie that a lot of people don't know about.
Yeah, and there's a reason for that
and it's also not what you think it is.
Yeah.
Like, it's one of those things where, like, you actually get, like, not a swerve necessarily, but, like, while they're trying to investigate it, it's not what they think it is, and it's not really what the audience thinks it is either.
Yeah. Oh, I thought it was I thought this movie was very creative. I'll give him that. Now, it was very long for some reason. Like, we did do a lot of drawn out scenes we probably didn't need to do, but I thought the overall story and the whole overall story and the ending I thought was really good. So, but we'll get into the long review of it.
Yeah,
so I enjoyed
we'll talk
it.
about that at the end.
I enjoyed it. I thought it was pretty neat. Like I said, it really reminded me, X-Files wasn't, around at this time, obviously. That came out later in the 80s. But this reminded me of like an X-Files mutant episode, like one of their like mutant episodes, monster episodes in a way. Like it could have really fit in there. So I thought it was actually really well done. The only complaint I really had about it was like I didn't realize it was so long, and there was a lot of like drawn out scenes. Like we gotta go in the church, we gotta go out of the church, we gotta go back to the church, we gotta go up the church, we gotta go side to the church. It's like, bro, we get it.
So I completely agree with that, but I also can't figure out where I would have cut time at, because I feel like you need a certain amount of time for them to be investigating. Because if it were like 90 minutes, it would just be like bam, bam, bam. Here's the ending. Because as long as it takes them to investigate it, you get the feeling of, well, we don't really know what this thing is. You know what I mean? But it is long.
I could have done without Dewey having sex with Rebecca. I didn't think that was necessary at all.
Well, okay, but what was that cut? Like 2 minutes out of the movie?
It cut like maybe 5. Remember, he was in his car randomly.
Maybe 5.
He was in his car randomly. Like, I get why he was doing it. Like, we'll talk about it.
Well, yeah, that's true. Like all the scenes with him sitting in his car outside of her apartment, that could have been cut. You're right. That would have made it considerably shorter. Like if it were cut by 10 minutes, it probably would have been significantly faster.
Yeah.
Or pacier, better pace.
Hey, but yeah, we got we got the pace going for the movie. You know what I mean? Like I said, it wasn't bad. Like it wasn't like badly paced. I just we could have cut off a couple things here and there. So
yeah. Because like the way I was gonna, and I'll stop on pace after this, but what I was gonna say is like it's a similar link to The Exorcist. The Exorcist might be a little bit longer, but with The Exorcist, you don't get that drugged down pace. Like I feel like I feel like this movie drags a little bit, whereas The Exorcist doesn't. So there's some difference in the way those two movies were written.
Yeah,
but you know what I mean. So, but yeah.
But we'll get all into it, brother, because I can't wait to dissect this movie. A lot of cool theories in this movie I want to talk about. But like in every Retro Blood, we talk about what is going on in the world of professional wrestling and the metal music. The reason we do this is because, like our tribe of the Retro Blood, we've been around since the dawn of time. And since the dawn of time, we don't only talk about the horror movies, we also talk about the metal and the pro wrestling because they kind of go together. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, when you're training these wolfdens, to hunt their prey, you got to train them more than just one thing. You can't just train them on the mega. You can train them on the major thing, but they got to have a couple side things to train on too. All right.
True.
Like how I did that? Okay.
Yeah. I also like how you always add a T to Wolfen for some reason.
Wait, I was thinking about the Wolfen video game.
Okay.
Like every time I search on YouTube, not YouTube, but Google, to find some information about this Wolfen, it'd be it comes up that video game. The one with the
I'm not familiar with the video game.
So I think it's called Wolfenstein, and the video game is basically it takes place during World War II a lot, and it's about a section of Hitler's army that like they do experiments with zombies. All right, and you got this fucking all-American boy, basically like Hulk Hogan, a guy with muscles, going there and shooting dead zombies, dead Nazi zombies everywhere.
Well, why is it called Wolfenstein? Is there a wolf in it?
Well, the Wolfenstein is like the branch or something like that. There's like a branch within the Nazi. I think it's called Wolfenstein. I haven't played the games in a while, so any gamer people out there, don't kill me. All right.
So it's kind of like Doom, but a little different.
Yeah, it's basically like Doom, but it actually has a pretty fun story, and most of the games are pretty fun.
All right.
And it's they also have like it's kind of like an older franchise, but it's very similar to Doom. But I prefer it more than Doom. I just like it a lot better. It's just like a lot of cool guns, a lot of cool enemies. It's a fun game.
I'll take your word for it. I'm only playing Super Mario RPG right now, so that's the extent of my my video gaming at the moment. But
like me, I'm trying to wait for Black Friday to get the Resident Evil 4 on sale.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that too. Because I always make that mistake and buy all these games when they first come out, but they always go down to $20 or whatever on Black Friday.
Exactly.
So
I always wait until
buy
Black
a shit
Friday.
ton of games.
Yeah. But anyway, let's get back on the track, everybody.
We got derailed.
We got derailed over there. Talk about these video games. That should be fun. Maybe we'll do that one time for a history segment. Just talk video games that came out that month.
Okay.
Might as well, got to change it up here and there. People have been saying about that. So this movie came out July 24th, 1981. And so, we're in the early era of the 80s. All right. So this era is pretty interesting, and the first thing I want to bring up is going to be the wrestling side. So, I was debating, I try to go on the Peacock every once in a while to search to see if there's anything happening, that I can watch live. So I can get we can get a better perspective out of it. Couldn't really find anything on the Peacock that had this this date of July in mind, but I did do some research, and I thought this was very fascinating. What was happening around this period of time in the AWA? So, of course, we've talked about the AWA before. It is a Vern Gagne's wrestling promotion. Of course, Vern Gagne is one of the biggest wrestling stars to pretty much bring wrestling into more like a commercialized style, which is weird because he is very traditional type of guy, but he was like one of the first wrestlers to do like movies, American wrestlers, by the way, not like, Japanese or Mexican wrestlers. One of the first Americans to do like movies, promotions and stuff, commercials and stuff like that. And so at this time, they inquired Hulk Hogan. Okay. So, and I think this area is very fascinating, which we talked a little bit about Hogan's, AWA run before, but I thought this one was very fascinating because around this date of July, this is when Hulk Hogan was in the process of turning babyface in the AWA promotion. Okay? So what led up to this was, so Hulk Hogan, he filmed Rocky 3 while he was working for Vince McMahon Sr., Vince McMahon's, dad. And what happened was, according to Hulk, which, we don't know if that's true or not, but yes. But according to Hulk is Vince McMahon Sr. did not want Hulk Hogan to do that movie because, he's like, hey, you're a wrestler, you stay a wrestler, you don't do this movie stuff. Okay? Because, back then it was all about, we got to keep these wrestlers and everything in-house. You know what I mean? There wasn't like how it is nowadays, you know what I mean? Where they're all in fucking movies. So
yes.
Yeah.
Right. That wasn't done.
Yeah.
Well, not under Vince McMahon Sr. anyway. But like you were saying, Vern Gagne had made a movie already, I think.
Well,
that he started.
Yes,
right?
that he started, but the movie was all about professional wrestling. Okay?
True. That's a good point.
Rocky 3 was about boxing and not wrestling at all. So it had nothing to do with the bubble of pro wrestling in it. It was like a boxing movie. So
it also talks about wrestling being fake.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, because well, kind of. So remember, because Rocky says, like when he picks him up, he's like, "This is all fake, right?"
Yeah.
So like, I'm sure that Vince McMahon Sr. would not have liked that.
Exactly. Because even at this time in the early 80s, people were questioning about this pro wrestling being fake. Probably even more nowadays, like even more than they do nowadays. You know, nowadays it's kind of like we all know it, and people are gonna like wrestling because of what it is, not what you think it might be in your mind. You know what I mean? So at this point, people are all like, hey, they're all questioning if it's real or not. And of course, the wrestlers at this time had to keep the kayfabe of it being real because that's just how it was. Like they didn't really like expose it yet.
No.
So, and I'll talk about that soon too because there's a very interesting part that comes up. So Hulk Hogan, he was basically a heel pretty much his whole career. Okay, and like we were saying, like he got let go from the WWF because he made the Rocky movie. So that's when he got picked up from the AWA, and he was still a heel at this time. And it's very interesting to note that when Hulk Hogan came into the AWA as a heel, they did not like Hulk Hogan's promos at the time, which is crazy to think about nowadays because, Hulk Hogan, I wouldn't say he's like the best promo in the world, but boy, I mean, people, like he had a very, like people know when Hulk Hogan's talking, you know what I mean? Like they know his voice, they know his shtick. But at this time he had to have a manager, and his manager's name was Johnny Valiant was his manager at the time. So, which is not too crazy around this 80s period because a lot of wrestlers had managers around the same. Even if they were a good talker, they had managers. So that was just a big thing in the 80s to have a manager. So what happened was, all right. Around July, they didn't give me an exact date, so it was a AWA TV taping, okay, and it happened in July. It didn't air until August, but I really wanted to talk about it because in July during a television taping, it was the AWA All Star Wrestling. Hulk Hogan turned babyface. So basically, what happened was Hulk Hogan, when he got introduced to the AW very early on. He was like this big giant monster. The dude was like 6'8", 24-inch pythons, brother. All right, 60-inch chest. All right, just a monster compared to a lot of wrestlers at the time, just because how big he was. And they would have him do like squash matches. They would have him face one one jobber wrestler. They would have him face two job wrestlers at the same time. And by him beating up these jobbers, like or 1-on-2 or 1-on-3 and stuff. Hulk Hogan, the crowd was like, bro, we like this guy. He was being positioned as a monster heel, but the crowd was like, hey, we really like this guy because he's a powerful, good-looking jack dude. All right? Mm-hmm. Dude, brother. Okay?
Dude, bro.
So what happened, they figured out right away, like, okay, we probably got to turn this guy babyface because all the crowd's liking him and stuff. So they did this match between one of the territory's top heels, which was Cruiser Blackwell. Okay, which is basically just like this huge fat dude. Okay, and he was beating up this guy named Brad Renegans. Okay, and they were having a match, and Brad gives him a belly-to-belly suplex. Okay, and Crusher put his foot on the bottom rope, but the referee didn't see it, so Brad picked up the win. Cruiser came in and attacked him, knocked down the referee. A bunch of wrestlers come in. Cruiser beats up all those wrestlers and stuff. The bell is going crazy. When they used to do that bell gimmick? The ring bell?
Where they just ding, 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 yeah.
They don't really do that anymore. You notice that?
Yeah,
like, nowhere else does that.
Yeah, because no one would believe that a bell would stop a wrestler anymore.
Yeah, it never did anyway.
It never did then either, so yeah.
So then Hulk Hogan comes in, and you get to believe... So they actually had this clip on YouTube. I found this page that like breaks down like the whole Hulk Hogan heel run to his babyface run from like 1981 to 1983. They're kind of like the beginnings of Hulkamaniac, So Hulkamania, I meant to say, kind of like the beginnings of it. And on this little video clip, Hulk Hogan comes in and runs in and starts beating up on the Crusher and stuff. And this guy was wearing fucking neon trunks, neon boots. I could not believe it. Oh yeah, you gotta see these.
That's great,
bro. This guy was fucking neon. I was like, imagine that was the Hulk Hogan colors instead of the red and yellow that we got for so many years. We can have neon Hulk Hogan, brother. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, it kind of he had the red and yellow, but he also did
he did the white too.
White and also blue.
Yeah, blue,
even after Hulkamania, there's like some matches where he's wearing blue.
Yeah,
but yeah, like just like those neon. Like I remember seeing him in those neon colors before he did the red and yellow, though.
Yeah,
which was.
I mean, he probably did it because of a Superstar. You know what I mean? Superstar Billy Graham and stuff. Like he would wear like those bright colors and stuff, and that's where he mimicked a lot of his character from. Was from Superstar, and of course Jesse Ventura as well too. So Hulk Hogan comes out. Basically, that's the whole thing. He comes out, and people give him a big reaction. He saved one of the baby faces, and now he's a full baby face now. And it wouldn't be too much later where he would go on to face Blackwell, and then he would eventually start his rival with the Bobby the Brain Heenans and the Heenan family, the AWA version of the Heenan family, which was Nick Bockwinkel, Ken Patera, and Bobby Duncan. So, like we talked about this a little before on some of the past Retro Blood episodes, but it's crazy to me to think how much Vince McMahon Jr. stole from the AWA. Like, he stole so much from this territory.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Hulk Hogan, Bobby Heenan's family, like fucking the announcers. You know what I mean? Like, just so much. It was just crazy how he basically took a lot of the AWA's, like, major stars, brought it to his promotion, just blew up with it. So that's crazy. But
and I'm sure he did that just by offering him more money.
Yeah, offering him more money, more dates, more exposure. And to be honest with you, it's probably the best thing to do because the way wrestling was for a lot of these territories and stuff, they're very like in the bubble. You know what I mean? Like Vince McMahon actually had a very good idea that obviously worked. Was making, wrestling national and everybody and making these stars bigger than life. You know what I mean? More movie stars than more like, athletes. So that's a long debate we can do on that one.
Yeah. Cause people like you were saying, I mean, wrestling was different then. So it's not like, if you signed with a company, people were watching you all over the country. And Vince was able to kind of promise that before it existed. Yeah. So, like, I think a lot of people went to that. But real quick question about this, though. So, when Hogan turns face here, is he ever a heel again? Or is he, obviously up until the 90s, but is he a face from then on? Even,
Yes. Okay. It's from here. This kind of begins his huge rise of Hulkamania in the AWA because that's where Hulkamania started, was in the AWA.
Right.
So from right here it started, and I think he brought that over to the WWF. And when he was in the WWF, he came in as a babyface. So he was basically a babyface from here all the way until the Bash at the Beach '96, which is crazy. Think about.
Because he was, when he was in AWA and then like really early in the WWE or WWF, he was called the Incredible Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
And then they had to make that deal with Marvel to where they would pay Marvel Comics part of his income basically for a certain amount of time. And then they dropped the Incredible part to get out of that.
Yeah, and that was mostly during like this heel run.
Yeah.
So he would do like, later on in the 70s and stuff, or like the 70s era, he was like a heel to the WWF and into the AWA. But then in the AWA, this is basically when he started to develop the whole Hulk Hogan character that we know nowadays. Well, kind of. Into, this is the building blocks of the babyface Hulk Hogan. It was basically started from here, from this July period of 1981, which is crazy. So, something I want to talk about too. So, Hulk Hogan, he was getting a lot of fame throughout the later part of 1981 into 92. Obviously challenging Bockwinkel for the world title, their AWA world title. And something I want to bring up, maybe we'll do it in long form one day, is the Hulk Hogan interview on Johnny Carson for promoting the Rocky 3 movie. And have you ever seen that interview in full?
I don't think so. I need to look that up because that sounds like it'd be really interesting.
It is very interesting. I just watched it before we came on here because I was just very curious about it. This one happened, June 15th, 1982. So almost a year after this movie and everything. But this interview is so interesting because it is not like the Hulk Hogan we see like nowadays, or even the one that was in the WWF. This is like more like a quiet, like preserved, kind of like down to earth, kind of like Hulk Hogan. It's really interesting to see it. Like if you compare this interview to the interviews he would have on like Jay Leno later on in the 90s and stuff, like completely different. It's just crazy.
Yeah. Where he stays in character.
Yeah.
So I have seen interviews like that before, but I'm trying to remember which one it was. But there's one where he's on a talk show promoting something, and he's just talking like a normal person. Like he's not like, he's not Terry Bollea, but he's not doing the brother stuff like he does. But then he, he's talking like a normal person, and then whoever is interviewing him, like, kind of talks about that, and he's like, talks about him like, not being like the Hulk Hogan that we see on TV, and then Hogan's like, well, do you want to see that? And he instantly goes into that whole shtick that he does. He goes straight into the gimmick, so like he can just turn it on and off. It was kind of cool to see, actually.
Yeah, and then this one was really interesting because this one was his first. It was his first ever, media interview that he did on this very popular late night show, Johnny Carson. Mm-hmm. And this is also his first acting role too in Rocky. And during this time, Hulk Hogan, he's talking about going to Japan and wrestling. He's like, Johnny Carson brings up the wrestling being fake. Hulk Hogan has to save it, saying like, I wish it was scripted. It'd be a lot more easier on me and the body. Like, look at these bite marks I have in my hand. He's like, I wish I could take everybody in this audience and show them for like 10 to 15 minutes and make them all believers.
Right.
Like it's a very fascinating interview, but it's also like a very strange interview at the same time. If you watch it with like 2023 eyes, because it's like such a different Hulk Hogan than what you even see like today. It's just very, very interesting. I thought it was really good though. It was very, very fascinating for a pro wrestling, because when I, as a kid, when I found about Hulk Hogan, he already did the whole 80s thing. He already did his whole 90s thing. He's already turned to the NWO. That's when I figured out who the hell Hulk Hogan was seeing like the NWO, Hollywood Hulk Hogan character. But it's just very interesting to see here in the 1981 of how this Hulk Hogan was, because you could tell, like, right when he leaves the AWA and Vince McMahon straps a rocket to him, that's when we get the bigger than life brother. Look at these pythons, Hulk Hogan. I think it started a little bit in the AWA, like he was like transforming into it. You know what I mean? Getting his all hyped up, cocaine promos. You know what I mean? But we don't really see that until Vince like straps a rocket to it. So it's very interesting watching like early Hulk Hogan. If I recommend everybody out there who hasn't, follows our wrestling part, if you haven't seen early Hulk Hogan promos, go check them out, because I'm pretty sure it'll blow your mind. So, yeah,
they are pretty amazing. I mean, Hogan, like, I've said this before, but like Hogan was definitely more, had more depth to him than I ever gave him credit for until fairly recently.
Yeah.
Like 10 years ago, if you'd told me about that, you should watch a Hulk Hogan match, I would have laughed at you. But like Hogan had way more depth than we give him credit for. And also, when he wrestled outside the country, he was a lot more of a versatile wrestler.
It's crazy
I just watched.
Yeah. If you watch those Japan videos of Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, I just watched a match from 1983 with him and versus Inoki.
Yeah,
and Hogan's wearing black, which I've never seen before. But and they're cheering him, like, so he must be face-like, I guess you could say. Like he was, they were throwing streamers at him, so it's not like they're hating him, but he's like doing drop toe holds and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot of good matches out there with Hulk Hogan. like in the Japan, like just going 100 miles an hour. You know what I mean? Great wrestling holds, like it's just completely different than when you see him like later on. So, but
when he's the leg drop and that's it.
Yeah, but I mean, he figured it out though. You know what I mean? Like in American wrestling at the time, you didn't need to do all that fancy moves. You know what I mean? So Japan, when he was going back and forth, really busting his ass, you had to do that style of wrestling. So.
Yeah, he made a comment recently where he had to have his hip replaced because he did the leg drop too much over his career, and I'm like, well, maybe if you did a different move every once in a while, you wouldn't have this problem.
Yeah, it's a little tough. Yeah, he's had back and hips, all kinds of replacements. So, but definitely a fun, interesting, very interesting character to talk about. Very controversial character to talk about. But very, very interesting character. And I really like this period of this 1981 AWA Hulk Hogan rise. It's very interesting. Everybody, check it out. Like if y'all interested in the wrestling part that we do, I definitely recommend checking out the 1981 Hulk Hogan rise. And of course, when it comes around the Retro Blood circle again, we'll talk more about it because I think it's very fascinating. But moving on, brother, from the pro wrestling, I do got a little bit of the metal music. And I think, Alison, I think you might know a little bit more about this band than I do. Because I've heard about...
a little bit of metal, too.
Okay, cool. So I've heard about this band before. Maybe you can shine some light on them. They seem like they'd be right up your alley. Is one, the Blue Oyster Cult.
I do know about Blue Oyster Cult.
So they released one of their... As a matter of fact. Yes, I thought you would because it has that trippy metal. What do you call it? Is this sludge? What kind of metal do you call this? Psychedelic metal?
It's kind of psychedelic metal. It's hard to describe what Blue Oyster Cult sounds like. They were a very unique band. I think they're kind of like so to me when I'm trying to get like the band Ghost. Ghost is a very polarizing band in metal because people, especially who came into Ghost later, don't like them because it's not metal, quote unquote, right? But to me, like Blue Oyster Cult is like Ghost. Whatever Ghost is what Blue Oyster Cult was. It's like they're like an occult band, kind of like like it's occult music, like not necessarily satanic, but like mystical, psychedelic sort of rock music. I don't know. It's hard to describe what they sound like. They're very unique.
Yeah. So this album that they released in July of 1981 was the album Fire of Unknown Origin.
Yes.
All right. Has like the dudes in very cult-like robes. Speaking of cult-like stuff.
Yes.
So apparently this album was like kind of like a saving grace for them in a way because apparently after several albums of less, distinguished material and crushable production, they kind of rallied back in 1981 with like doing some good hits off this album and kind of getting back to a little bit more of their psychedelic trends around this time.
Yeah, they kind of they were one of those bands that did really well in the 70s, but when the 80s came, they just kind of they were I think they were kind of looked at as an old band. You know what I mean? Like they weren't looked as like a modern band. Like because we've talked about this before, but there's a huge difference between like the 1970s and the 1980s, especially as far as music goes. And Fire of Unknown Origin, that's probably the last good album in my opinion that they've made. But it was produced by Martin Birch, who produced the Iron Maiden records and some of the Black Sabbath records. And it has the big hit is "Burning for You," which I'm sure you've heard on classic rock radio. Everybody's heard that song, I'm sure. That's probably like other than "Don't Fear the Reaper," "Burning for You" is probably the most listened to Blue Oyster Cult song. But it also has "Veteran of the Psychic Wars," which is it's at least one of my favorite Blue Oyster Cult songs. I love "Veteran of the Psychic Wars," which was written with Michael Moorcock, the fantasy author. So he helped write the lyrics for it. But yes, this is a good album. It's definitely the last hurrah for Blue Oyster Cult. I would say after this they started becoming like a oldies act almost, and they're still together today. Like the two main guys, the two guitar players are still in it, still playing Blue Oyster Cult songs with different people in the band. But yeah, I actually like this album a lot. Considering, I mean, it's not as good as the '70s material, but I like Fires of Unknown Origin quite a bit. Yeah, it's got a great cover.
Yeah, cool cover. Yeah, I liked it too. I was listening to some of it. I like the song After Dark. I thought that was pretty good.
Yeah, and Joan Crawford. That's a good song.
Yeah. Yeah, some good stuff. I don't know. I always call this like trippy metal. That's just me though, because you know what I mean. You take a little.
I mean, that's
take a little acid.
That works.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's kind of like our boy Dewey. He seemed like he would like some Blue Oyster Cult. You know what I mean? After
I guarantee
you.
I guarantee you. I guarantee you he would.
Yeah. But yeah, everybody, we'll play a little bit at the end of the show, showing you guys some Blue Oyster Cult. But check them all out. You know, pretty cool band. You know, still around today. You know, making their impact happen in the metal scene, or the rock and roll scene at this time. But Alison, let's get into some who booked this shit, because I got a lot of questions about this Wolfen. All right. So
yeah, there's a lot of questions, I'm sure.
Yes. So Wolfen was directed by Michael Widgelet. What's his last name?
I have no idea how to say that. I would say it Wadley, but that's probably not right.
Michael Wadley, okay. And it was based on Whitney
Strieber.
Yeah, Whitney Strieber's 1978 novel, The Wolfen.
Yes.
All right.
Do you know are you familiar with Whitley Strieber and who he is?
No.
Because he's more famous not for writing books, because he used to be a famous author during this era, and a lot of his books had been made into movies. But he's more famous because he's the he's known today as the alien anal probe guy.
Oh, okay.
Because he kind of created the concept of that. So he wrote this book in the 80s called Communion, which is supposedly, according to him, is a true story about his family had a cabin up in upstate New York. He lived in New York City, but they had a cabin somewhere out in the country in upstate New York, and they would go visit it. And then when he would go stay up there, these aliens would come visit him, and he would get abducted by aliens. And he wrote a book called Communion about it, which was made into a movie later on with Christopher Walken. It's a really good book, but it kind of ruined his career. So, like, he was known as like a good horror author, and a lot of his movies had been books had been made into movies. But writing the book Communion basically ruined his career. Like he does a podcast now, but he can't he was saying on his podcast recently. He's like, I can't even get, I can't even get a book contract. Like, I can't even get a book publisher because of all of the alien stuff. But which is kind of interesting that he did that, and then people say it was just to a career move for him, but like it really kind of ruined his career.
Yeah.
But yeah, he wrote the book for this, and then then they made a movie out of it.
That's very interesting. So yeah, it's also damn. So he ain't gonna be on Ancient Aliens, huh? Anytime soon?
No, he's not gonna be on Ancient Aliens. He's on Modern Day Aliens.
There you go. So the director, this Michael guy, apparently he is actually best known for doing that documentary about the original Woodstock.
Yeah.
1970, brother.
Okay.
All right, so some of the production on it. So the film, like we were saying earlier, was best known for its use of the in-camera effects to portray the point of view, using that thermographic, the thermometer, whatever it was.
Whatever they call that, yeah.
The technique was later adopted by other horror films, such as the Predator film series, like you were saying. So some of it, a lot of the scenes were filmed in the South Bronx, all right, and around Boston area as well, too. All right.
Okay.
Yeah.
I did not know that. I know that a lot of it was filmed. The Bronx, so like the Bronx actually did look like that at the time. Like there was in the 70s and the 80s in New York City, there was like a huge amount of what they called urban decay, where nothing was ever kept up, and like all these places was just crime ridden and burnout buildings. So like they built that church that they used in the movie for the movie, but those buildings, the Bronx actually did look like that in 1981, which is terrifying to think about if you think about that. Like that was crazy. An actual city and the way it looked.
Yeah, that's wild. Yeah, I was wondering about that. I was like, man, like it looks like all this shit looks like a fucking wasteland out there. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it did. Like, and that's why they get that stereotype of like, about New York City being like this dangerous wasteland, like post-apocalyptic world, because it actually kind of did look like that at the time.
All right, so also too, so they were saying that the actor Dustin Hoffman was interested in portraying the role of Dewey Wilson, but the director Ricklet insisted on Albert Finley doing it.
Yeah, I think that was a better choice. I can't imagine Dustin Hoffman, as young as he was when this movie was made, fitting into this at all. Yeah, that'd have been really a little interesting.
So, according to your boy Roger Ebert, the film was originally to have been distributed by United Artists, with claims of being over-budgeted after being overscheduled. So Orion Pictures tried to have the director fired. All right. A conscious dispute led to the director being allowed to shoot what he needed before being let go while returning director credits. While John D. Hancock will be brought in to supervise the ADR sessions after the film got cut down to an acceptable length. Well, how fucking long was this movie?
So originally it was 4.5 hours long.
Jesus.
That's what I heard anyway. I don't know if that's true, but the original cut was 4.5 hours long.
Yeah. So I guess the guy who did the cut was Richard Chew, but he was not credited for his cutting on there. So very, very interesting. So, we have, we always hear about that in movies all the time. You know what I mean? You got to do cuts. It goes over budget. This and this. It's mostly always the same when we hear some of these films. About like how the budget is and how they can keep the budget. But for this one, I thought they did pretty well of keeping everything pretty consistent. But it was a little long when it comes to certain parts of the film.
Yeah, and apparently another thing that got him fired was the Wolfo vision. Basically, half of the movie is in the Wolfo vision, and it was very expensive to do at the time.
Yeah, there's a lot. Like, if we did a drinking game,
we'd all be drunk halfway through.
Fuck, bro, you not even. I mean, goddamn, like it was everywhere in this film. Like I said, this guy was just like put it every scene. We needed every other scene.
Well, yeah, I guarantee you that's what happened. He's like, oh, this looks cool. Let's do it again. Let's do it all the time.
Yeah. So something interesting about this film too was. It was, like we said, it was released in the theaters July 24th, 1981. The film grossed a pretty good amount of money. Was it about like $10 million? All right. And
yeah, but it cost much more than that to make.
Exactly. And apparently it didn't do as well as these other movies did. Because in the same genre, this wolf themed. Like we're saying, everybody at the beginning of our reviews for November, there's a shit ton of werewolf movies in the 80s, brother. They love this theme. So apparently this one did a few months afterwards, the movie that we're going to be doing later on in the future, that we debated to do during this review, was The Howling. That came out in 1981. And the movie we may or may not be doing, which we probably will be doing, An American Werewolf in London, was released less than a month after Wolf Den, and both of these films managed to outperform this movie at the box office.
Yeah, because they're both better movies. I mean, there's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
I mean, I love this movie, and I'll be the first person to admit that. But yeah.
So we had some stiff competition there, brother. Okay. So, but yeah, this one's pretty interesting though. So
yeah, and one thing I was gonna say too is like there is like we were saying before, Whitley Strieber wrote the book that this is based on. I did read the book a long time ago. The book is almost completely different than the movie. It's hardly even the same story. If I remember correctly, there's no Native American component in it at all. The wolves are more like werewolves, except they don't turn into humans.
Yeah,
they're like that all the time, and they're not supernatural in any way. They're just like in the book. They're just like an offshoot of like canines. Like they're just like a wolf like evolution, basically. And they have hands. And they climb the sides of buildings and open doors and stuff like that. So it's the same story, I guess, but it's told in a completely different way.
Interesting.
Both are good, but it's completely different.
Interesting. So this movie was nominated for 4 Saturn Awards.
Mm-hmm.
Best Horror Film, Best Director, and Best Actor. Were some of the awards that it was nominated for. And
did it not win some of those?
It's to say it was nominated for Saturn Award, including Best Horror Film, Best Director, and Best Actor. It didn't say if it won or not.
Yeah. Okay.
So, and apparently I didn't know this either, but there's a little Easter egg in the movie The Joker.
Mm-hmm.
All right, that actually has the poster for Wolfen in the back during the alleyway scene. So I never noticed that at all before, but that's kind of cool. Showing some.
I saw The Joker once. I didn't really care for it, so I've never watched it again.
I like that, man. I like that movie.
But maybe I'll go look for the. Maybe I'll go look for the.
Maybe I'll do a.
Maybe I'll go look for the. On The Joker.
Yeah, because that new one's coming out with your girl. What was her name? The singer. She was in American Horror Story. God, I can't believe fucking.
Lady Gaga.
Yeah, Lady Gaga, brother.
Oh yeah, because I'm a huge Lady Gaga fan. So yeah,
she's coming back. Harley Quinn, brother. Should be good.
Well, that's gonna be fantastic, I'm sure.
So if I say we get into it, everybody, let's get into the full review of the Wolfen.
Let's do it.
Get your negative glasses on, brother, because we're going deep.
Orion Pictures presents Wolfen. For centuries, they have been hiding in the rubble of your cities. The concealed threat. The invisible terror.
Chris! You scared me.
They can sense the rhythm of your blood. Hear clouds pass overhead. See where you are blind. A force so deadly, it will tear the scream from your throat. Wherever you are, they are.
Somewhere in the world, every other day, a corporate executive is assassinated.
Team her up with Wilson.
There's not a trace, not a speck of metal. Nothing softer could have ripped and ravaged like this.
Is it an animal?
Well, it ain't human. Do you realize how many people disappeared without a trace? Something out there might be eating people.
Did you hear that?
Yeah! Get out of there!
What do you think it was?
You were being lured. We were being separated.
By what?
The carnivore. You got yourself some kind of meat eater.
What
is it?
It's Wolfen. They're only animals. They might be gods. In their eyes, you are the savage. Wolfen.
All right, so we're here. We're in New York City. All right. And I was having flashbacks from last month when we're in Jason Takes Manhattan. And I was like, no, there's no way. You know what I mean? Let's do the crossover we all didn't know we wanted a couple years later.
Wolfen versus Jason.
Yeah, Wolfen versus Jason, brother. All right, come on now. We can make it happen. So we see 2 dudes on top of this bridge, and I thought for sure these guys were part of that Warriors movie. You ever seen that movie, The Warriors?
Yeah, so The Warriors came out about the same time as this. I never thought about that until you mentioned it, but they look like 2 guys from The Warriors. That would be freaking awesome.
And I noticed right away, one of them was talking to a bird, and I don't know what that white substance was that was there. It could have been chalk, but it looked like cocaine. Okay.
In his mouth?
No, there was like this white shit on like the fucking, where they were sitting at. Like on the part of they're like on the floor.
Oh, no, like when they're on top of the bridge. Yeah, so they're doing like some kind of like Native American ritual on top of the Brooklyn Bridge. So I'm assuming that's chalk, but I don't.
Listen, man, I got flashbacks from Jason Takes Manhattan with heroin, cocaine. What are I supposed to think it was?
Well, we're definitely going to get cocaine in a couple minutes. So.
Yes, that's true. So we're seeing a bunch of like these old buildings, and I was thinking like, man, like, I was like, until you brought it up, I was like, is this like real? Like, you know what I mean? Like, did they spend all this money on this, like, just fucking, it looks like this place got hit by a bomb. All right. But you said that was like real. That's crazy.
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously I don't remember that, but I've spent a lot of like, I don't know if I mentioned this before, but I love New York City for some reason. As much for a person who hates cities and humanity in general. I love New York City. I don't know why. So I've spent a lot of time reading about the history of New York City, and but so basically the Bronx was basically burned out. Like it was just like burned out buildings, which is weird to think now because all that real estate's worth millions now. But like you could probably buy it then for nearly nothing.
Yeah. Which was our boy.
And it's just like which is what Vander Hoover or whatever that guy's name is.
Vanderberg.
Vanderberg is his name.
Vanderberg, something like that.
Vanderberg, some rich guy's name. It sounds like a millionaire's name.
Yeah, right? So his name is Chris Vanderberg.
Chris Vanderberg.
But I don't know if I'm going to fuck up his name too much, or we might just call him Chris. But he's doing that gimmick where he's buying up the whole property to build some fucking shopping malls and condos on that shit.
Condos and shit, yeah. Exactly.
So we can see right away there's negative right away. All right, and when I first saw that, I was like, they doing that negative gimmick? Interesting. You know, because I never seen this movie or knew anything about it. And I believe the last time we saw some negative shit on the here on the Retro Blood, I believe it was at that Blood Beat movie, right? That Christmas movie we did. Like,
yeah.
And I was like, there's no way. This is like a high production film compared to that fucking shit. I thought they just did it because they didn't have no fucking money.
Well, this was an expensive effect at this time.
I know. Like now, literally, I can do this on my Adobe Premiere like super easy now.
Yeah, we can do this on our phones now.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. It's crazy how technology moves. So now we see this Chris guy, and I didn't know this was his wife at the time, so I thought he was just in there with a hooker, because it was a rich guy. But apparently, it's his wife. She's like passed out, wakes up, does cocaine, and passes right back out.
Yep.
And apparently our boy Chris is so rich that he has his own security detail. Like he has like,
he does.
Like, and apparently these guys don't leave the room. Like they just stay in this security detail like 24/7 apparently.
Because apparently like you can be assassinated at any time if you're this guy. Of course, I mean, once we find out everything he's into, I mean, we understand why he has his own security.
Yeah. So they're being drive around. We can see the guys from earlier. They're doing their Indian ritual warrior dudes. They're there and they're kind of like following the car. And they throw a bottle at it. And then the Vanderberg and his wife, they stop at this landmark that Vanderberg has. All right. And this is actually the place where they originally got married. And they're just walking around. The wife's all coked up. You know what I mean? Because they just came back from a party. And she's like staring at a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, they go to Battery Park for some reason.
Yeah, because he has a landmark there. He like did some shit there.
Oh, right.
That's the place where they got married. So they're going out there for good old memory's sake, Alison. Okay? That's what you do when you're a 1980s rich billionaire and you have a coked up wife. You bring her to the place you guys got married. With your security guard who knows all about voodoo. Okay? Which we'll find out later.
Yes, because he's Haitian.
Yes, that's why. So they're around. More negative everywhere, bro. If you guys want to drink to us saying negative, you can. Like, I'm not going to stop you.
You can.
Or you'll be fucked good at up amounts.
You'll be fucked up. You might stop yourselves, but yeah.
So there's negative around because the negative is supposed to show the wolf vision, I guess. I guess when you're a wolf creature of the night, you see things in negative, which is supposed to be like infrared in a way. I guess.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, that's what I think. It's supposed to be them being able to see in the dark.
Yes.
I guess.
So eventually the wolf attacks the bodyguard. Okay. And it goes like it's weird because the wolf will go behind a bench. It'll go underneath the ground. It'll go here. It goes everywhere to try to attack this one.
Yeah.
I guess this was trying to show that there's multiple than just one. But at the first, we're led to leave with just like one wolf.
Because we don't actually see it though, right?
Yeah, you don't see it until almost the fucking end. Yeah.
Well, that's true. You're right.
We don't see this like wolf, the creature at all until the end. So they attack the bodyguard, take his hand out, and then they eventually attack the wife. All right, and then they attack Chris, and they both all been slaughtered by this creature that we didn't see what it was.
Right. That was a really cool effect though, when it shows a close up of the bodyguard's hand.
Yeah. It's still moving a little bit.
In it, and it's still moving. Yeah. When you look at, if you freeze frame it and you look at it, you can kind of tell how they did it, because you can see that the grass around the hand is not part of the ground. Like you can see where in high definition, you can see where the seam is, where the fake grass goes over the top of the hand. So I'm guessing that it's his actual hand put through like a glove of grass, and his hand goes out the other side. And he just moves it a little bit. But it's a cool effect, though. But it also could be an animatronic hand that just looks really good. I'm not really 100% sure.
Yeah, I mean, it looked good. So now this is when we meet our main detective guy. His name is Dewey Wilson. All right,
Dewey Wilson.
And his main thing is he is what kind of cop would he say he is? He's kind of like a realist cop, I guess, or something. I don't know. Kind of very.
Well, he's a captain, but he's like a detective. He's like a captain detective. So he's like, he kind of leads the detectives. But they talk about him like being on some on a leave of absence before this or something.
Yeah, because he's not all. I was getting very what's his name? Fuck, everything's escaping me today. I was getting very like the vibes. You know, in Hannibal, he had that one guy. He didn't have Clarice, but he also had the other guy. The guy. Matt?
Oh yeah, the guy from Manhunter.
Yeah,
the book Manhunter.
Yeah,
movie Manhunter.
Let me look it up really quick.
God, what is that guy's name? If you hadn't asked me that, like that's one of my favorite Manhunter. The Manhunter movie is one of my favorite movies. If you hadn't asked me that, I could have told you.
It'll get to me in a second. Will Graham. That's right.
Will Graham, yeah. And the guy also, strangely enough, in the original Manhunter movie, the one that had Will Graham in it, not the TV show that you're talking about, but the original movie.
Yeah.
The guy that played Fergie in this movie played the serial killer.
Oh, that is interesting.
Yeah. Weird little unrelated or related unnecessary connection there.
That's awesome. But yeah, like he was giving me those Will Graham vibes a little bit, where he's like not all there. But you could tell, like, he, you know, when murders and stuff happen, he's really good about figuring stuff out. But he's not, like, all there. He's not, like, the biggest, like, social butterfly kind of guy, you know?
Right.
We see him eating, like, very bad. He doesn't have a good diet. He has the cop diet where you eat donuts every day. All right?
Yeah. They settle his stomach, he says.
Yes. So he gets called from the chief. The chief says they found 3 dead bodies. He needs to get there now. He's like, how am I supposed to get there? You got to fly. You got to hurry this up.
Okay. I have a problem here. So it's not that far from Staten Island to.
I think they were joking. That's like.
But he actually did fly, though.
He did?
Yeah. Well, he shows him flying on a helicopter.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I guess you got to get there down there quick, because he had like.
So there is no way they would fly him from Staten Island to Manhattan on a helicopter. Like he would just drive it, probably. But. I mean, you could take it on the train in, I don't know, 20 mints, and the ferry and the train, you could be there.
But they picked him up quick, because he was still in his pajamas with his coffee and his donut. All right. They wanted him to get.
Well, he went out for a run. Remember, he just got finished.
He wasn't out for a run. He just got out of his building, and went to the fucking stand.
No, he was out running. It showed him running in the park, and then he goes. Then his beeper goes off, which I didn't know they had beepers in 1981, but I researched it, and they really did. So, but his beeper goes off and he has to call the chief.
Yeah.
And then he gets the donuts and then they fly him in. I'm pretty sure. I know there's a helicopter and I'm pretty sure he's in it.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Anyway, I thought that was kind of weird, but yeah.
Yeah. And he talks about his settling stomach, donuts and shit. So the big thing is the chief is meeting with these 3 suit guys, which one of them is the mayor, and the other one's like an attorney, and I'm not really sure what the other one did. It's like a crime investigator. And they're talking about how important this Chris guy was to the whole community. You know, because they're not exactly sure what killed him because they didn't find anything missing. Like, they didn't find any money missing. They didn't see any gunshots or anything like that. No ransom note or anything like that. It was just basically their bodies all torn up. And they're kind of like, you know, they're trying to figure out what this could be. And one of them thinks it might be like a terrorist attack, brother.
Yeah, they think it might be left-wing terrorists.
Yes. So, you know, they also ask, you know, who this Dewey guy is. He's the captain to take care of all this stuff. And this is also, too, when we meet one of the other characters in our story, the coroner, the guy, Whittington.
Whittington, yeah, played by Gregory Hines,
Yes.
who at this time was more known as a dancer than he was an actor. This is one of his first big acting roles.
Yeah, they're pretty good, too. So he's there talk about this whole. He's just amazed about the head because apparently the wife's head when she got eaten or when she got like attacked, her head got chopped off, and he was talking about how in the French Revolution the heads would do that. Like they cut off a lot of heads, and every 15 head would still be alive after a couple minutes.
Yeah, which I don't know if that's actually true, but I've heard that before.
Yeah, I've heard like if it's cut off, it's like your brain still is active. You can kind of like see yourself die. It's pretty creepy.
Yeah.
Pretty creepy thing there. And then, of course, they take the bodies away. All right.
That was pretty funny, though, that little scene where he was like, when they're starting to take the girl's body away.
Yeah.
And he's like, hey, he's like, be careful with, and then you hear the head fall off.
Yeah.
Like you can't see it, but you hear it fall off, and it goes like, oh, God.
They fucking
he's like,
dropped
with the head.
Like, I'm not picking that
up. And then
up.
the other guy's like, right, the other guy's like, I'm not picking that up. Awesome.
And then we go back to the hospital, right? And I thought this thing was randomly funny too. Like there's like this random doctor guy. He's like, what happened to this guy? He got shot. He's like, oh, you fucking idiot. He's like slapping his dead body. He said, you shouldn't be fucking with that bitch. I was like,
yeah, shouldn't have been fucking with that bitch, should you?
And then Whittington saying to Dewey, hey, man, there's some crazy stuff going on here because he found a couple interesting stuff about the bodies. All right, so Dewey's sitting there. He ate like a full cookie.
He did.
Like he didn't chew it or bite it. He just put the full cookie in his mouth and swallowed. Alison, have you ever put a full cookie in your mouth and swallowed?
Yeah, I have. When I really wanted a cookie.
You tell me this badass. Okay, anyway. He was fucking running. Anyway, so they're in there, and the big thing about this guy, or the big thing about the investigation, I should say, is Whittington like, hey, there's no metal marks on these bodies because usually if somebody was stabbing them with like a knife or something, this infrared camera that we have would leave a trace. It leaves like some metal traces around the bodies, but we didn't see any of that at all. There's like no traces of metal or anywhere around these bodies. And Dewey's like, what could it be? Plastic? And Whittington's like, oh,
plastic weapon, yeah.
I am, brother. Plastic wouldn't show up on my radar. So they're kind of coming up with theories of what kind of weapon is going to be needed to use. So. Okay, so now Dewey is going into the talk with the chief about some things. He gets into with the guard for some reason. They talk about the story of the Vanderberg, okay, where his family is, a rich family, and they were recapping what he was doing. Okay, they had this big family party. They were doing some party drugs like the cocaine, and they were drinking.
Yeah.
They went to the place they got married, and then they got slaughtered here. But why? All right. We didn't find any like loonies. They call them loonies escaping from the insane asylum. And they talked about the guard voodoo. He has like a voodoo guy, and then Dewey's like, "All right, are we looking into the voodoo angle?" I was like, "Oh my god, voodoo angle! Wait a minute, is this zombie?"
So yeah. Well, because remember they find his ring that has a pentagram on it.
Yeah.
And even though I'm pretty sure this is not a voodoo symbol, but I'm not an expert on voodoos. But but they find it, and he's like, and they pull it up, and then Wilson's like, Dewey's like, oh, it's voodoo. It's a voodoo symbol. And then they talk about how like, well, don't they say at this time that they think that it could be in like environmental terrorists or something like that. And then they're like, well, this guy was like, their bodyguard was 300 pounds, and he was a member of the Tonton Macoute, which was like in Haiti in the 80s, in the 70s, they were basically like a what would you call them? They're like a I would call them a terrorist organization, but they were basically like the people that work for the dictator, Papa Doc Duvalier. He had this group that they called the Tonton Macoute, and if you spoke out against the government, they would basically grab you and you would disappear, whatever you call that. So that's what he was. And then after Duvalier fell, he came to the United States to be this guy's bodyguard.
Yeah.
So what they're trying to say is that he's like he's a badass that has no problem torturing and killing people. And so it would have taken something pretty powerful to take him down.
Yeah, and they're also talking about how the Chris he didn't have a lot of likers. He didn't have a lot of fans overseas because of all the property and all the shit he did over there by buying up a bunch of property and stuff. So he said he has a lot of that's the angles they're going to be looking into too, is looking about overseas attackers on him as well. So now we have they do this like weird like videos, like it's like we watch videos like an infrared, like they were trying to use this effect on like every scene they could,
as much as they could,
they could. So we see that they and this wouldn't even go that much anywhere for some reason. Like I think they kind of probably could have cut this part out of the movie, but we get Chris's niece, okay, and because she was she's I guess his niece is part of some sort of like environmental radical group or something, like one of those like political radical groups.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
and they pick her up for some questioning because that's one of their witnesses at this time, and she's talking about political stuff, and she's brought into this police room where I don't know if this technology is real, but apparently they have the interview going on. And there's this infrared camera that they're recording her on. And through this camera, on this effect, they can tell if she's lying or not because her body heat and stuff will go up if she's lying.
I don't think this is real. I mean, even like, what do they call that? The test they hook you up to. Even that's not accepted in law in the courts anyway. But yeah. So, well, I mean, I guess you could see why. I guess I could see why you would think that this could be cut out. But what the point of this scene is that, so she's basically telling them that, it was not done by necessarily their organization, but that, the environmental activists took this guy out because he's a blight on society and that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And then they're finding out that she's lying. So she's making that up. Yeah. Because
first, like the detective Rebecca, we meet Rebecca here too. She is like the other detective going to be on this team with Dewey.
Right.
And she is interviewing the niece, and they want to know about the 3 murders. And at first the niece, says, yes, there was an execution supposed to happen with them. But then like, the doc who's monitoring saying, oh, she's lying because I could tell through her body heat and shit.
So did Neff, Rebecca Neff, did she show up because she's investigating the environmental terrorists?
Yes. So yeah, they have...
Yeah, that's what I thought. That's why they brought her along.
Yes. So they have Dewey kind of doing the part of the investigation too. And they want them to work together. All right. And they have a really strange relationship at the beginning. Like when they meet, all right, it's like I think they kind of knew each other, but they didn't. It was weird. All right. Their whole relationship is kind of weird. All right. So
yeah.
Yes. So now we have more negative outside. We're kind of near the Bronx area, the abandoned buildings. We had like this guy, he's getting some drugs to get himself straight. All right. Mm-hmm. He goes into an abandoned building, takes a little bit of drugs, hears some noise, and he eventually gets killed by the wolf. There's negative everywhere. So everybody take your shot. Okay. So now Rebecca, she's talking to Dewey with, I like my notes here. Rebecca talks to Dewey with some love-making music on the background. Foreshadowing, brother. About the sex.
Foreshadowing. I was about to say that doesn't happen yet, but
which is weird because I did not expect a sex angle to happen with these two, but apparently it was. I was like, okay, this is written by guys.
Oh, I knew that was coming from the beginning. I mean, obviously I'd seen this before, but like years ago. But I knew that was coming. Like, you know, the older grizzled, you know, detective guy and the young female detective. Yeah. Of course they were going to end up having sex. But yeah, like the scene where they're sitting in his office talking and drinking the whiskey. Yeah, like that was a great scene.
So the big thing is like Dewey's like saying like you always think it's a political angle with all these deaths and stuff. He's like we got to think a little bit different than that because of the way the bodies died. All right. And then she reads, "Oh, here's your sign of guns and what does it say? Guns and then made."
Well, that's a scene. Yeah, that's a scene where he's like, "Here, take a shot," and he's gonna give her the whiskey, and he pours it in a coffee mug, and then she's like, "Do you have any ice?" He's like, "Only around my heart."
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I
flirting,
can totally
brother.
relate to that, brother. Here you go. Cheers to you.
Flirting. He had
Dewey
like
Wilson.
this. He had this pro gun sign going on here too. Like this.
Yeah,
guy's
didn't it
ready.
say like guns, God, and
made
something.
America or something like that.
Yeah, made America. Let's keep all three or something like that.
And her big thing is like, so have you killed anybody? And he has to like fucking not say anything. He's like, oh well, you know, I almost killed a rabbit today that got into a hole. What would you call that? And she's like, I call that sexual. And I'm just sitting here like, whoa, wait a minute.
What? Yeah, I was a little bit thrown off by that too.
I was
why
like,
would she say that? I think this whole scene is weird though.
I knew it was easy to get women in the 80s, brother, but I didn't know it was this easy. All right, you say shit about guns and whiskey and rabbits. This girl gets all hot and wild. Let's go. Right.
I think it's weird that another detective would ask him if he'd killed anybody. You know what I mean? Like if she were like a newspaper reporter or something, I would be like, okay.
Well, I guess
she's not part of this group, but it's really weird that she would bring that up.
Well, I guess she was wondering because I think the thing was this Dewey guy was supposed to be on a leave of absence or something until they called him in for this weird investigation.
So yeah, well, she says that. She says that wasn't he like discharged for like mental reasons or something.
Yeah.
And then the chief of police or the whatever says, the commissioner or whatever says, he had some family issues, but he's fine now. So like he was like that was what I was saying earlier. He was like on a leave of absence for some reason, but they don't really tell us what.
Yeah.
Which I mean, I kind of took from that. Maybe this is part of the 4 hours that they cut out of the movie, but I'm guessing that he killed somebody and he had to go on a leave of absence.
Yeah.
Or something happened, you know, on his job, and he had to go on a leave of absence, and they brought him back because they need him to solve this crime.
Yeah.
Very but they don't really tell us that.
It's very Will Graham.
They don't very Will Graham, right?
Yeah.
They don't really explain to us what's going on or why this is happening. But that's what I got out of it because they don't really explain it. Maybe if we watched the 4.5 hour cut, then we would have got more out of that. But I don't know.
Well, there's a couple angles that they didn't expand upon. We'll talk about. So then we can see that there's some sexual tension between them now. Dewey offers a ride and she declines. I was like, oh, playing hard to get. So outside we see more negative, and then this is during the daytime. So the wolves can also come out in daytime too. They're not only just nighttime wolves here, brother. So it's a little different than some of our other werewolves where they only come out during the full moon. All right. So we see that they're starting to break, some ground on because even though Chris died, they're still doing the gimmick, brother. You know, the stockholders they still need their cash. Okay,
they still need to get paid.
So they're breaking some ground, but then they find a dead body, that same dead body that got killed earlier. So now Dewey and Rebecca they go to the Vanderbeer estate and they start looking at all the pictures. And I thought it was really weird when they saw like the elder Vanderbeer. And they're like, oh, he kind of looks like God, and he has a bunch of dead presidents in his pocket. I was like,
okay, so I was trying to figure out what they meant by that. So she says he kind of looks like God.
Yeah.
And then he says, well, and then he's got with his hands in his pockets. And then he says, well, he should have his hands in his pockets. He's got a lot of he's got 4 dead presidents.
Yeah.
So does that mean okay, so
He's got a lot of money.
is he talking about money, or is he talking about actually like he actually caused like presidents to be assassinated? Because he says 4 dead presidents, which wouldn't be a lot of money back, for somebody that rich, but that would be a lot of, assassinated presidents. So I don't know if
maybe it's both.
That's what he meant. I mean, it could be both. Yeah, it could be both. I mean,
maybe he means,
but it's another thing that they don't make clear.
Yeah, maybe he means he has the money to kill presidents, and he has money to spend on condos and crazy
plus
cocaine.
Yeah, unless this guy lived a very long time ago, which maybe he did, there wouldn't have been enough assassinated presidents in his lifetime.
That's true.
You know what I mean? I don't think it would have been 4. I mean, the guy wasn't alive during Lincoln and Kennedy, surely, right?
It's probably one of those 80s jokes of having money.
Maybe it's something we just don't get now.
So the other weird part, which didn't go anywhere, is when they're talking about fucking the Vanderbilt's wife's painting, where like these 3 deformed heads and shit. They're like, oh, she must have been very disturbed and stuff. And I thought that was going to go somewhere, but it didn't go anywhere.
Nope. No, we never talk about it. It's probably in the 2.5 hours that they cut out.
Yeah. So then Dewey, he gets a call, from the police station saying they found more bodies. And this is when they talk to the other coroner guy, the medical examiner, Baldy. All right. Played by that guy, James, Tolkien?
James Tolkien, yeah.
Who I recognize right away from Back to the Future, brother. All right.
He was in that. He was also in Masters of the Universe.
Yeah, Masters of the Universe.
He's been in a lot of things, but he usually plays the angry bald guy.
Yes. I thought it was great. And then he was. It took me a while because I've always seen him when he's a little older. And seeing him young was pretty amazing. And they're talking about how they found a hair on Vanderbilt's wife's body and on this Bronx guy body, and that's what's linking them now. But they can't figure out what the hair is because it's not human. Okay? And then now Dewey and Rebecca, they're going to go investigate the Bronx to see, what's going on over here, if they can find any clues, because they're kind of figuring out, why would the killer kill somebody in the Bronx and then kill somebody in Manhattan? You know what I mean? It doesn't really make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So now they're walking around, and then they get on this. I guess they're walking. They're talking about their church experiences, okay? Because they see a bit like this big old abandoned church. They're just talking about going into the church, and they're talking about all their church experience. She doesn't like church because she got married in one, and our boy Dewey doesn't like going to church because he got beaten his ass in one.
Yeah.
Okay.
So makes sense.
So this scene is, if you all like investigating, this is the scene for you because they walk up the stairs, they walk down the stairs, they walk over here, they walk over here. Okay.
It's not that long. It's a little bit long.
I could have took a piss and came back and they still be in the damn church. Okay.
They're walking around the church trying to figure out what's going on. They're investigating. It takes a minute to do that.
So they hear a noise.
But you're right. They do walk all over the place.
Dewey freaks out a little bit, grabs Rebecca from the stairs. They run out of there because they see some creepy noise and creepy eyes. So they get on out of there.
Well, she hears a baby.
Yeah, the baby. Yes, they hear the baby crying.
So they're about to leave, and then she's like, "Did you hear that?" And he's like, "What? I didn't hear it." He's like, "It sounds like a baby."
That's right. I forgot the baby angle.
And so then she's going up the steps, and he stays downstairs. And then, like, when she disappears upstairs, then you see the negative again. And then that's watching her because the Wolfen live in the church partially.
We find out.
And then she's walking up. Right. And then she's walking up the steps, and then she hears the baby again. But when she disappears upstairs, he hears a wolf howl, and he pulls his gun and he runs up the steps. One thing, I'm not really sure those steps would have supported the weight of anything.
Yeah.
Like it's pretty crazy that she would have even walked up those steps. But in the book, it's a little bit different because she hears the baby. What she's actually hearing is the wolves howling or making a howling type sound. She just thinks it sounds like a baby. But in the movie, it's implied that she hears a baby, but they don't really explain why.
Yeah.
Like they don't ever, as far as I remember, they don't really explain why she's hearing a baby. So that's like something from the book that was like not presented very well. But in the book, she just like hears the wolves, but she thinks it sounds like a baby.
So after they get
anyway, you're right. He grabs her and they run away.
Yeah, they run away and they go to the local bar, the dive bar, where they just sit next to a girl who's passed out, which I thought that was funny.
Yeah, that bar is a place called Chumley's, which is no longer there, but I'd been there before. It's like a little speakeasy bar. I had no sign. It just had a door, and you had to know where it was. It was a really cool place.
Was there just some random girl passed out on the table that you're sitting by?
Usually, yeah. Okay. Usually, yeah. It's like a dive bar.
So they're not really sure what they were seeing. Okay, and I like how first Rebecca's like, oh, I haven't been around here since my younger days at the bar. And then she's still on the angle, like, okay, who did you kill? All right, and then Dewey's like, well, when I was a rookie, I shot this guy in the leg. He's like,
he said he shot at first he says I shot my partner by accident. And then she keeps pushing and he says, why don't you just ask me how many I've killed?
Yeah, how many, yeah.
Which I kind of took that as like, yeah, I've killed a bunch of people. Because he does earlier tell her, she asked him why he wanted to be a cop, and he's like, I like killing people.
Yeah, he didn't kill anybody in this movie.
Right, he didn't kill anybody in this movie. But so I kind of took that as like he's
it must have been the prequel. Gotcha.
Like he had killed a bunch of people or he killed some people, and she might as well ask him how many people he's killed.
So then we have a bunch of wolf negative everywhere.
Yeah,
it's on the bridge. It's on everywhere, brother. Everywhere you look around Manhattan, New York, it's everywhere. So now Dewey takes Rebecca home, and this is when she hears her cat, and there's lightning around here, so the wolves are kind of like on to their trace, Rebecca and Dewey. Since they visit the church, the wolves are, stalking them a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And then Rebecca hears noise off the roof. It just her cat scares her, so we're doing that horror movies, where they hear a noise and they get scared by the non-killer.
Right.
So Dewey and Rebecca, they're talking about, we finally meet our character, Ferguson. Okay. He is like this, animal keeper guy.
He's a zoologist. He works at the Central Park Zoo. And I don't know if it was just me, but he came across a little bit crazy.
Yes. Very crazy. He's very into his work. All right.
He is, and he's carrying around a taxidermied skunk in his hands at all times.
And he is like, they found his hair, and he's like, it could be a bear or a cat or something. I'm going to go look it up. And then he's like, they're saying like, what's this all about and stuff. He's like, well, we believe that this creature's hair might attack people. And eventually he finds what the hair is. It's basically a Canis lupus.
Canis lupus.
Canis lupus wolf hair. All right. And then they're talking about like, well, we think this hair might be involved in this murder investigation. It's like, well, it can't be. He's like, you can't be coming at me with saying that this endangered wolf species is around killing people, because they don't do that. And then he goes on to say,
wolves don't kill people.
Yeah, wolves don't kill people. They travel in packs, and they're very smart. They don't even do things like to kill and to winnow down their numbers. They're kind of like Native Americans and stuff. Like they're saying all this stuff.
So all of that's true. So wolves don't kill people unless they're fucked with.
Yes.
And they don't. He's right. They don't overpopulate. They only breed to the population level that they need. So, which is why, like with coyotes and wolves, if you start shooting them and killing them off, they're really hard to get rid of, because they'll just breed. If you kill a lot of them, they'll just breed more pups. Yeah. But if they don't, then they don't. But yeah, he's comparing them to Native Americans because they were both basically exterminated at the same time.
Yes. There's the big, for the slaughter and all that stuff, and they had the exterminate at the same time. And, and then, Fergus is basically saying, like, no, you probably just got some crazy, like, killer, because only people can kill people. Dewey's like, okay, so you gave me this idea of the Native Americans. I used to know this Native American that I put in jail for all this fraud and murder that he did. All right, this guy's name is Eddie. So now
Eddie
Holtz, brother, and he knows Eddie is out. He's been out for like 6 months now. So now he's like saying, Rebecca's like, well, why would Eddie want to do this? He was out. He's like, well, just because he, served his time and stuff doesn't mean he changed his ways. Maybe him and his tribe want New York back. You know what I mean?
And Eddie Holt is played by a very young Edward James Olmos.
Yes.
who is a Latino actor, but I guess in 1981 that's close enough.
Yeah, close enough, brother. Okay, come on now.
He's got black hair and kind of olive skin. That's good enough.
Yeah, it's fine. All right, let's do this. So now Dewey goes to talk to Eddie, and I could not do any of this at all. I probably just quit my job because Eddie, his big thing is they built, well, so the biggest, I guess in 1980, I guess Native Americans were known to building skyscrapers.
Apparently. I did not know this, but apparently that's true. Well, they're working on the Manhattan Bridge.
The bridge, okay. Bridge,
yeah,
skyscraper,
so they're,
yes.
So in the beginning of the movie, they're standing on top of the Brooklyn Bridge, which I also like how they explain. I think it's later on in the movie. They explain why they're allowed to do that.
Yeah.
And they kind of explain it here because they built the bridges, but he just goes up. They say he just goes up there and sits on top of the bridge.
Yeah.
And he doesn't cause any trouble. They just let him do it. So that they kind of explain how he's allowed to do that. But yeah, so he has to go climb to the top of this bridge to talk to Eddie Hull, which I thought was hilarious.
The guy's like, you can go see him up there. You can go wait at the bar. And I'd be like, brother, I'll wait at the bar.
I wait at the bar.
But our boy Dewey's like, I got to hurry this movie up.
Done.
Dewey's like, listen, brother, they cut my movie down 2 hours. I got to come up here. So he gets up there, high as shit up there, and he talks to Eddie. And they kind of, they knew each other because I guess the arresting officer was Dewey. And Eddie's bringing up the whole shapeshifter angle.
Yeah.
About how
Eddie says they're all shapeshifters and he can become like an eagle if he wants to, and all he has to do is it's all in your mind. All you have to do is jump and flap your arms or whatever.
Yeah.
And then he kind of implies that they're going to jump off the bridge together to become eagles, but then he doesn't because it's a joke. Haha.
Yeah. And then he's all saying like, it's like, what's this? It's all in your head and stuff, and it's up to you they pay you to figure out who's doing all these murders and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So now we had the Whipperton. He's all talking about how he found he found some new evidence of how these bodies were. He thinks all these bodies are being eaten now. So he's saying like he found like this scar on some of the bodies that look like teeth marks, and he's saying like a lot of these victims that he saw, like a lot of them have like a bad liver, some bad organs to them, and those were fine, but then other ones were gone, missing. So somehow this creature knew which organs were diseased or not, and he was kind of curious about that because he said like it was taking him like almost like 24 hours just to figure out that these organs were bad compared to this person who, this thing that killed them knew right away. And he's all like saying like, thousands of people go missing every day too, and they can't find a trace of them. So he's thinking whoever this murderer is, they're actually eating the people like cannibals.
Yeah. So what he's saying is that it took him, what did he say? He took him 24 hours to find out that this guy had a disease.
Yeah.
But this thing, whatever killed him, knew instantly.
Yeah.
So like something's like really in tune with, whatever they're doing.
And then Ferguson walks in saying, just apex predators out here. All right. All right. And then they start, Ferguson and Whitmerton, they start going back and forth with each other, friendly conversations. And this is when Dewey brings up shape-shifting. All right. And then of course Ferguson goes on this whole thing, he's like, the body's just a body, it's really just your soul that can do everything. And then Wimbledon's kind of like just playing it off like, no, that's not happening here. So now we have Dewey. He's following Eddie and his crew after they get done with their local Native American bar. They see a full moon. The older Native American gives him a necklace. And I like my notes on here. Dewey watches Eddie get butt-ass naked on the beach and sees him semi-transfer into a wolf naked.
Well, okay. So, yes. So, okay. I had a question about this, too.
Yeah.
So, I couldn't... Does he just follow them?
Yeah.
Or do they know he's there?
Oh, he's following them, but I am pretty sure they knew he was following them.
Okay. Because it's kind of just... it kind of shows them, the way it's cut, it looks like they're just all together. And he's going to go, we'll show you what the shape-shifting is like. But you're right. I think that they followed him, or he followed them.
Yeah.
But they know he's there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Eddie basically takes peyote or something, and he becomes like.
Well, he fucks with them
shapeshifts
basically.
into a wolf. Yeah,
Like-
he
Like Eddie knew
becomes
he
a
was
wolf.
there, so now he stripped down naked, and to prove his point, his joke, all right, to Dewey.
Mm-hmm.
So he stripped down naked, starts sipping the water, acting like a wolf, jumping to him, and looks at him, Dewey, and says, "Hey man, it's all in your head." All right. While this is happening, the real wolves are at Ferguson's zoo area. So we have negative all around the zoo area.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Ferguson is watching how fast these wolves go and how they see in infrared and stuff on the video camera. All right.
Yeah, he's watching he's watching a film about wolves being killed.
Yes. And we see all that. Yeah, on the video camera. It's pretty crazy. All right. And then he hears a noise. All right. He calls the fire station saying he wants to report a fire where he's at. All right. And they said, like, get over here right now. It tells him where it's at. And he said his name is Peter Wolfen. Oh, okay.
Interesting.
Yes. So then he drives off because I guess he's trying to do this because of the sirens. He's seeing if the wolves were following him or not. Okay. And while this is happening, our boy Dewey, all right, he wakes up from his house. He goes into his car, sleeps in his car, and he dreams about wolves and a naked Eddie. Alison, are you going to, after this review, are you going to have a cup of tea, relax a little bit, and then go to your car and sleep and remind yourself about this Wolfen-style creature and a naked Eddie?
Most likely not.
Okay. Well,
I mean, I may have a drink and
there.
sleep in my car, but I'm not gonna dream about a naked Eddie.
Okay. Well, boy, Dewey was, and I guess that turned him on because he wakes up. All right, he goes inside Rebecca's apartment randomly. Just runs into her apartment, has a gun. She sees him with a gun, doesn't say anything like, "Hey, why are you here with the gun and shit, you crazy maniac?" No, she just looks at him. He looks around all the corners. Go ahead.
That's not what happened. So he's sitting outside her apartment.
Yeah.
Because he's like watching over her, I guess.
Yes. Because yes.
But then he hears the wolves howl.
Yes.
Or is
wakes
that
him
in
up.
his dream? Yeah.
Well, it could have been in his
wolves
dream.
howl, and then he pulls his gun and then he runs into her apartment. Now you're right. She doesn't like ask why he's there or anything like that. He just like, well, she lets him in, doesn't she?
Yeah. Well, no, he just comes right in.
No, because wait a minute. He stops at the door because in New York City you can't just walk into an apartment building. She has to buzz him in.
Okay.
So he stops at the door. So I think she knew he was there and she let him into the building. But then sometimes like you can just hit a button and if the thing buzzes, like whoever's living in that apartment will open the door. They just have to hit a button and the door unlocks. So sometimes if somebody's expecting somebody, you can just hit a random button and then the person that lives there will just let you in.
Yeah.
But I think she let him in and then he runs into her apartment because he thinks the Wolfen are there.
Yes. And the Wolfen, they are outside because we do get some negatives and stuff. And then she asks, like, what is it? What does it do? He doesn't say anything. He just sits on the chair, puts his gun down, starts staring at her. They stare at each other, keep staring. We cut outside. And the next thing we know, in negative, brother, these two start having some sex.
Yeah. Well, the Wolfen are watching them have sex.
Yes. And there's some weird sex noises going on here, too.
This also makes more sense in the book because they can, in the book, like I was saying, they can climb buildings, but they don't really explain to you. Like once you see what the wolves look like, it's really hard to understand how they were able to get the angle that they're getting.
Yeah.
Like how did they get up there?
Flying, brother. That's how. All right. Well, we could see that they can kind of disappear and vanish too. So.
That's true. You're right. That's true. Maybe they teleport.
So the next morning, Dewey, he doesn't cuddle. He doesn't do all that stuff. He just leaves after giving her some of the giving some of her the Dewey. All right.
Yeah.
So I love to see him. So he goes outside and he sees like this random guy struggling to get on a bike.
Yes.
This scene was so funny. It was like just so random. All right. And then Dewey, he meets Whitmanton, all right, and they're trying to like investigate more about this hair, and he talks about Ferguson. Wilmington talks about Ferguson not coming home. So now Dewey's like, okay, well, should we investigate him? Maybe he was the one that killed these people. And it's like, no, Ferguson would never do that. I've known him for years. So they're kind of like still kind of lost of who the actual subject, could be. And they also have all these pictures and stuff that they found of a wolf creature that might be their new thing. Like, they can't believe it yet, but they have like this evidence where it could actually be a wolf creature, but they're just kind of like undecisive if this is like true or not.
Right.
So now we see a clip during this too, where it looked like the Chris's, Ferguson's team found a subject, like a suspect. Okay, and it looked like they found like this terrorist group because this suspect was saying stuff like, kind of like they took credit to killing the Chris guy. So now the whole captain needs to tell Dewey and all of them like, about this theory that they have. The captain was like, okay, we got this person and we need to let them know right away. All right.
Yeah, he's a member of a terrorist organization called the Götterdämmerung.
Yeah. So the big thing about this one is the Dewey and Wilmington. They are in their Dewey's office, and they're about to go investigate the church to see if they can find that wolf creature that the Dewey saw like a couple scenes back. And Wilmington's making all these jokes about how brave he's going to be or something. And the chief comes in here, and they're kind of like debating like how to present this to the chief, because they want to find some evidence first before they talk to the chief about this. So, but they don't really tell him like too much what's going on. So they go out to the church, and they're kind of like doing a stakeout around the church. And of course, Wilmington, he's just a big jokester. Burps into the fucking radio, and he flashes them on the camera. Full moon, brother.
Yeah.
And then Dewey hears wolf noises, so he starts to investigate more of the church. Like at first they were kind of just having cameras and the infrared sniper guns on the church, but he heard noises, so he actually goes into the church. But it so happens that the Wolfen dog, was right above Wilmington, and that the dog attacks Wilmington and takes him down.
Yep. And
this is actually the first time we actually see that this creature is an actual wolf. It's no like man wolf. It's no creature wolf. It's no wolf thing from the thing. No, it's just a basic regular wolf with negative eyes.
I think it's really big. It's supposed to be really big. But
one,
yeah,
yes.
That's just maybe a larger wolf. But yeah, it looks like a regular wolf.
Yes. And then, of course, Dewey tries to go help out, but he was too late. All right. And then this is when we have another scene where that terrorist group gets attacked, by the whole police military force. And they're trying to figure out when they're going to present this news to the press. Okay. So basically all the cops, everything, they decided that it's this group for like two reasons. Number one, they actually put a hit out, or they were trying to kill the Vanderberg. And this clan was also known to wear like wolf's fur and stuff too. So that's how the two matched up with this group. But our boy Dewey is a little smarter. He goes to the Native American bar. All right.
Yeah.
After he's been attacked and he tried to save his friend, and he goes there and he starts talking to the Native Americans, Eddie's group. And boy, these guys were talking a million miles an hour, all right, for a note taker. All right, they were talking about see, the thing is, you're thinking about us all wrong. These creatures they're called Wolfens. All right,
yeah,
they've been here way before your gods. Okay, and they think you're the slaughter person. They think you're the bad ones. They were running for these tribes for millions of years. They have no cops in their tribe, in their society. They have no lawyers and stuff. They're just a group of hunters. And if you disturb their hunting ground, that's their biggest threat to them. And these ones, that yes, they were extinguished a long time ago during the slaughter, but these smart ones lived underground. They've been living underground in certain areas for years. All right.
Yeah.
And they don't go by your rules. They have their own rules in their own society. All right. And they prey on you. Yes.
Right. So this is where we first figure out that. So it's almost like a H.P. Lovecraft kind of thing, where like these wolves have been around. They're basically gods.
Yes.
I think he does say that, doesn't he? He says they're basically gods.
Yeah.
And he's like he said they might be gods, and they've been around longer than humans, and they will be around when humans are gone because they see humans as like, a force that's like destroying the world, and basically they're reclaiming their hunting grounds, which are now being taken over by Vanderveer and his rich cronies who want to build condos.
Yes,
and going to kill everyone that does that, and they're probably not wrong.
And that's why they've been attacking these guys. That's the angle, because they're trying to take over their hunting and living grounds.
And from this point on, I was immediately on the side of the Wolfen.
There you go, brother, on the side. So then the other guy's like, "Oh, don't worry about it. It's all Native American jibe." And then they all make bird sounds for some reason.
Which I'm guessing is like their way of making fun of him, but I don't know why they're making bird sounds.
Well, maybe their tribe, maybe they're all actual birds.
Maybe.
You know what I mean?
Maybe they're a tribe of birds.
Maybe Eddie and his crew are the shapeshifters that he was talking about. But the Wolfens and the shapeshifters are different. See, we could have done a whole TV show about this one, man. Next angle, Eddie and the shapeshifters, right? And then, so Dewey is now, he goes to, he's in the Vanderberg office now, and he's staring at a bunch of mirrors. All right, there's like glass and mirrors everywhere.
Yeah.
And he's, he just says, he keeps like repeating what the Native American guys were telling him, like family of hunters, hunting grounds and stuff, you know?
Right.
And then he's like, oh wait, I got an idea. So he watches a video of the Vanderberg construction of how they're going to take this area and build condos on top of it. And he's watching this video, and somebody throws some fur on him. All right. And, because he realized, okay, that idea of them trying to protect their killing ground is true. And he gets some fur thrown on him. Rebecca and the chief saying like, hey, we found your wolf right here. And they're like, what? He's like, what? He's like, yeah, it was actually this terrorist group. All right.
Right.
Yeah, and there's this terrorist group. Well, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, yeah, so that's their explanation of why they can find wolf fur or wolf hairs, because it came from that thing. I also thought this was interesting because he's watching it on one of the first projection television.
Yeah, they had like little.
That's what those three lights were: the red, the blue, and the green lights, and it projected on a wall or on a screen or whatever.
Yeah.
That was like the first projection television, the first big screen TV.
Yeah. So after Dewey's basically at this time, he's upset because his friend, that coroner guy, died, and he was like, he just found out this news about this secret Wolfen organization of wolves that's godlike creatures. And he's like putting all the pieces together, but then they're telling him, like, oh yeah, just this terrorist group that was had the wolf as their main mascot, I guess. And they're leaving, and we can see that all the wolves are kind of outside cornering them all. So they corner the chief, that Rebecca and Dewey at the same time. They're all looking to him. There's negative everywhere. And we see all the wolves come out, but then we see, I guess the pack leader is the white wolf. It's like the pack leader. And the chief goes to run away, even though Dewey tells him to don't do that. And so the wolves are attacking him. They chop off his arm. He goes into the cop car. He tries to call his for more backup, but then there's a wolf in the car. Kind of remind me
the car. It's amazing.
Kind of remind me of some Jurassic Park scene or something.
Yeah.
And then the wolf they attack the chief, and then they chop the chief's head off. And it's crazy when you see his head, you can actually see his eyes and his mouth moving, because that's the same thing they were talking about earlier in the film.
Right. It brought it back to the beginning where you can see his eyes moving and his mouth moving because He's one of the ones that they decapitated him, and his head still moves.
Yeah. So then the car didn't like Dewey and Elred just shoot the car and it blows up and shit like some sort of action movie. And then
I thought that was kind of weird.
Yeah.
Like, are they? So I can't. So at this point, you can kind of figure out that Dewey is starting to become on the side of the wolves.
Yeah.
He's not really trying to investigate anymore. He's like kind of on the side of the wolves now. And so did he blow the car up so that the chief's body would be burned and they wouldn't investigate it, or was he actually trying to shoot at the wolves? Because it just seems like a really weird scene.
Well, I'm guessing he was just trying to shoot at the wolves at this time because he thought like, okay, if they're gonna attack him for being an idiot, the chief, they're all gonna, they need to find a way to escape because they do that. They blow up the car, then they go back to the Vanderbilt building, and they shoot the glass, which I don't know why you need to do that. I thought the door was already open. Maybe it locked behind them. Maybe. And he shoots the glass like 3 times.
Yeah, because weren't they just in the building?
Yeah, they were just in the building.
Right.
Maybe it locked behind them. I don't know. All right. So then they get up there. They go on the top floor. So I guess, they were worried about the wolves killing them. You know what I mean? So,
and there's also that weird scene of where the elevator door won't close, but nothing happens.
Yeah, exactly.
It's almost like something was cut out there because they never show you. So the elevator door starts to close and it opens back up, and they never explain why it wouldn't close. And then he hits the close button and it closes, and they just go to the top. Like, why that scene could have been completely cut out, and it would have made no difference. Yeah.
So they're up there on the top now, and he's kind of washing Rebecca off a little bit from the blood. The ambulance and the cops show up. They put out the chief's car's fire.
Yeah.
And they're just kind of like laying around at the top floor. And Rebecca eventually sees a wolf coming through all the glass, the mirror glass. And it breaks into the suite. It breaks into the suite.
It jumps to the window.
Yeah, it jumps to the window. Dewey has his gun and is going to shoot it, but then he puts the gun down and kind of like, does the whole surrender.
Yeah. So that's, so now he's like fully on the wolf side. Like he understands where they're coming from. He's like, look, I understand what you're trying to do. I'm not here to try to exterminate you.
And
We're all on the same side.
And then he goes to the model, that condo model that Chris had made. And he takes the shovel and he breaks the model to show the wolves, hey, I'm going to break this model. So while me doing that, they're not going to break ground anymore, which is a complete farce because I'm pretty sure that didn't do anything. And I'm pretty sure they still broke that ground and put those condos there anyway.
Yeah, I don't know how that would have stopped them from breaking ground on the condos, but at least it showed the wolves got the idea that, okay, he's like, he's on our side.
Yeah, at least Dewey's on our side.
At least Dewey's on our side. Yeah.
So then the cops come in, and then it was weird. I didn't really get the scene. So like the wolves are about to disappear, but then the cops come in and shoot something, and I thought they were shooting at Rebecca and Dewey, but they weren't. I guess they saw the wolf in there or something.
Yeah, I think they were shooting at a disappearing wolf.
Yeah.
Because he breaks the model. And then instead of growling, the wolves all howl at the same time and then disappear.
Yeah.
And then right as they're disappearing, the cops break into through the door, and then shoot at something. And he says, "No, don't shoot."
Yeah.
But I'm guessing that he saw like a wolf disappearing and thought maybe it was one of those Goddard run guys and was shooting at it. But the wolves are all disappeared and gone at that point.
Yeah, because the police guys were like, "Hey, what happened here?" And I could barely hear what Dewey was saying because it sounded like he mumbled. But the way I got out of it was saying, oh, it was just terrorists. The terrorists were coming here. So
he basically says that that they were right. It was terrorists the whole time.
Yeah. So then we see this like negative scene of wolves running everywhere. And we have our boy Dewey doing his best closing of an X-Files episode. All right, talking about these wolves, they've been here forever, and if you go onto their land, they'll prey you, and they just like humans prey, they prey on us as well.
Yeah, because he's kind of saying that humans think they're at the top of the food chain, but they're not.
Yes.
These Wolfen are.
And then we get a scene of Eddie hanging out on the bridge while wolves are howling. And we have a negative there. And then we go to the credits. That ends the Wolfen. So yeah, I mean, a whole lot of stuff happened in this movie. That's for sure. And there was a lot of angles that I don't think they explored. But I thought it was a pretty good movie overall.
Yeah, I mean, I like this movie a lot. I mean, it's not the best movie ever made, but I mean, I think it's a good movie, and I like the concept behind it of how, like, I mean, this movie is kind of tailor-made for somebody like me because, like, I kind of also agree with the wolves that human beings are basically like a virus on this planet, and they would be better off if all humans were eliminated. I'm all for, like, the nature retaking man-made things. So, like, I'm totally for that. So, like, the more encroaching wilderness and wild things that we have, the more I'm for that.
Yeah, because that was one of Eddie's lines too. Is like, yeah, your technology didn't do anything for you.
Exactly. Yeah, your technology is worthless, and
yeah,
and then he's right because like, I don't know. I mean, like, you forget when you live in a city every day, you forget what it's really like, and when you're out in the middle of nowhere and you don't have cell phone service. Like, it's a completely different feeling.
Yeah,
most people don't ever experience that. But like when you're out in the middle of nowhere, like you do not feel like you're in control anymore. And and that's what Eddie's saying is like you think you're in control of this, but you're really not. This thing is more powerful than you are. And Eddie's right. And so that kind of thing is tailor-made for somebody like me because, like, I have those sentiments myself. Like, I really would wish, the wild would overtake all man-made things. Plus, it's also a huge problem now, as it was in 1981, where just rich people are just buying up property and building more hotels and condos.
Yeah, can you believe that? Like, that has not changed.
It's worse now than it was then.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, some things change, but then some things always stay the same.
Right, especially where we live. Like any amount, anything, any area in town that has something old in it, like somebody will buy it and tear it down and build expensive condos or an expensive hotel on it.
Yep, all the time. There's a bunch of Vanderbergs out there all the time.
Yep.
So, but yeah, everybody, that's been our Wolfen review. Hope you all enjoyed it. We are continuing the 1980s werewolf movies. We'll probably have to do this theme again because, like I said, there's a shit ton of them on there.
Oh, yeah, we definitely will again.
So, but yeah, these ones are pretty fun. But I think the one next week should be very interesting because we're probably going to be reviewing one of the most popular werewolf movies of all time, I would say.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah, The American Werewolf in London.
Yeah, it's a classic. We waited to the end on this one because it is such a classic.
Yeah, very classic movie. Like I said, probably one of the most recognized werewolf stories of all time. And I actually never seen this movie, so it's going to be very... Like, I know about it, but I just never seen it. I know, it's crazy.
Yeah, I can't believe you've never seen that.
It's going to be pretty fun. Like, I know a little bit about it. Like, I know a little bit about it, but I don't know the full story. So that should be very fun next week. We'll talk all about that. And we're going to be staying in the 1981 timeline, too, because that's when that movie got released. So that should be fun. And then, of course, about this time, too, we are going to be releasing our Lights Out review also, too, on the brand new Eli Roth directed Thanksgiving movie.
Yeah, it's a long time coming on this movie.
So, pretty fun. I can't wait.
Saw the trailer in 2007, I believe.
Damn, okay. Very long.
Yeah, because it was part of Grindhouse.
Yeah.
And it was a fake trailer for Grindhouse, and this is like one of the last movies to be made for it.
Nice. That's wild. Yeah, it should be pretty fun. I always like those slasher ones. So I always like my themed horror movies. So that should be a fun one. And of course, we'll round out this month on the 26th, talking about American Werewolf in London. And then we'll give you all of our Christmas holiday horror movie special reviews coming on for the month of December, which I can't wait for. So,
yes. So it's a special time for us.
Always, brother. But everybody, what should we play from the Blue Oyster Cult there, Alison?
So, I think considering that they burned the Chiefs' car and that the Bronx was completely burned out in this movie, I think we should play Burning for You.
Oh, Burning for You.